All right, guys, happy Friday. Oh, it's about 2 o'clock for me. I'm getting coming to you late because the hazards of using multiple microphones, you can do the entire recording and have it set to the wrong microphones because I've switched to this lavalier mic from the big beast that was always in my face, and I just forgot to check. So I just did 45 minutes with no audio. So I'm back here to do it again. It's probably be faster this time. I've basically essentially had a rehearsal. Okay, right. So first, this is Ethereum. Let's get over to Bitcoin here. We'll do Bitcoin, Ethereum. I've got the graph teed up, and then we'll take a look at the S&P because that's that count has been changed. I took a hit on that one myself, right? Because I was very often you trade that sets up just beautifully. I was confident I had a good trade setup, right? Stopped out hard today. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin now. So here, we'll take the market structure off just for a second. We'll bring that back. So as we look here, that one thing that does occur to me. Now if we look here, what's the best way to do that? So if we look down here at this section here. Now I'm no Wyckoff expert, but I have enough familiarity with it to see a potential accumulation here. And what it actually looks like is we have accumulation on top of accumulation. So it looks like we've got preliminary supply, automatic reaction. It's not you've been looking for the spring here, but again, it's funny, right? So often the knock on Elliott Wave, right, is you're trying to make it perfect. You can never find something that's perfect. And kind of the same thing with Wyckoff. If you need, the A, the B, the C, the D, and the E to all just be perfect, do you find it? Yes, just like you find perfect Elliott Waves. You can get a little bit caught, trying to get the exact schematic in Wyckoff. I think we could probably all agree that this is certainly showing this indications that that's accumulation, right? And then you add in, okay, ETF's coming, right? We've been through all this. Now, is the ETF coming? My view, no one knows for sure, right? So, I mean, my view is there's just too much money to be made. There's just way too much money to be made on Wall Street for this not to happen, right? You almost don't like to think that way. That it's all about, well, we're protecting the public, and we don't, probably some degree of that, but I think this is ultimately going to, like most things in life, going to come down to money. So accumulation, and then it would appear that it's reaccumulation. Kind of looks that way, right? Range, breakout. Do we need to come back and test it? Well, that wouldn't be shocking, but if you think here, use my little arrow here. We really don't want this coming too far here, right? We're going to invalidate the impulse here. So if we came back here and we tested what would this be? Back up against the edge of the creek, right? If we did something like that, assuming this is your launch point, right? If we've got this, we don't want now we're combining. Oh shit, we're always combining to some degree, right? The Elliott and the Wyckoff and the market structure, confluence, right? Think of it that way, right? Why not combine them, right? If they're all lining up telling you the same thing. Now, we don't have this yet. Who's going to be first, right? It's likely not going to be one at a time. My guess is they're going to do multiples, right? It's unfair advantage. So, Fidelity, Grayscale, BlackRock, Vanguard. I mean, the big players coming hard, right? And that means big money. And if they get the ETF, what do they have to do? They got to buy Bitcoin, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think that's why we're seeing these initial bursts, right? It's coming. It's not coming. It's coming. We'll see. I think most in the industry are anticipating that it's coming, and then the question is how many. What's going on across the global world's on fire right now. So we shall see how this all develops. I think Bitcoin will be a safe haven. Right? It's likely a scenario. Any Bitcoin bull has long been advocating that Bitcoin will be a store of value. How about that? Right? A place to go to get relief from the volatility and potentially, some rather ugly scenarios here in the stock indexes, right? We'll see. I mean, the general consensus is, I think most would agree that the Fed's at the tail end of the rate hike cycle, but now we just got, what did we get, 4.69 on GDP? We need to one or two more high, right? That says that couldn't happen. Bonds don't look like they've put in a low just yet. Oh God, I've got them up here somewhere, but it looks like there could be more downside there. So we shall see what's happening here. But I think of everything on the board right now, Bitcoin looks the best. Right? Haven't been able to say that for a while, but it looks pretty good here. Okay, so there's Bitcoin, right? The view here being that this is a little tricky in here. We've been over this a few times. This actually is an account that came from newest member of my team, Wonka, who is a longtime member. Just has been promoted. He's just an outstanding technician, right? He's really progressed nicely. He helps us out a lot, right? So he's joining the team. So this would be 1, 2, and then this. Here, let me get this out of here. This gets a little tricky here if you haven't seen this. And this was his, because we look. So you look at it and you go, wait a minute. How am I going to make this work? I got a 3 to start this, right? Followed by a 3. Well, got to get a little bit creative there. This is perfectly valid. Here's the 1. We do 3, 3, 3, right? So we do a WXY into the 2 here. And then we come out of that. It looks like we've got an impulse underway. Now, is this the 4 up here? Well, you can look at this and you can see the massive fair value gap here. So we have this big imbalance. So if we start to come back down, boy, it's going to fall through that pretty quickly. Well, I should back up on that. There could be some unfilled orders here. We'll see, right? But there's no support there. Technical support because of that, right? So if we're coming down here, again, we don't want the 4 going that deep, right? We never in an impulse do you want the 4 going that deep. Does it happen? Of course it happens, but that's not what we'd prefer, right? For a bull case, right, to hold, I'd rather have it stay out of that fair value gap, right? Because you don't know how far that could fall there. I think that covers us here. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're working on the 5th to complete the 3rd here relative to the 1, 2 in blue, right? So we get, you think of it as a running flat, right? So A, B, C, right? That makes it easier for you. In Elliott speak, so 1, 2, it's an awfully big 3. It really is, right? They're disproportionately large, but you know, if you can allow for that, 3 would be the place to spot it. Okay, until we see, right, do we get the 4, 5, right? Then we're going to start to lean into this count a bit more. I think we can probably agree to that. Oh, people are not happy that I don't give them a bear count. I think we can pretty quickly suss out the bear count here. If this completes, assuming, right? Let's just, for the sake of discussion, let's assume we complete the 3 here. Well, it's not too hard to figure out how we might interpret that, right? Now we'd have just an ABC. ABC. Now the implication of that would be that we're now heading to take out these lows, one more push down, maybe 10K, 7,500, something like that. That would complete the full correction here. Oh shit, what would we call this? No, it almost doesn't matter, right? Essentially what you'd be saying is we've got this, right, correcting this whole thing. Not what I think is going to happen, which is why I spend very little time there. But for people who are like, why don't you ever do the bear count? Well, mainly because I don't think that's where we're going. But we could, right? So if I'm going to be objective here and just teach technical analysis, we can't eliminate it. But I don't want to dwell there, right? I think that's where we're going. And as I've said in many vids, live streams, I think we're going to look back at 70K like we look at 20K now. Oh, remember when it was at 20? Wasn't that cute, right? It's cute. I think we're going to look back at 70 like we look back at 20 now. But remains to be seen, right? I could be completely dead wrong, right? So that's Bitcoin. ETH, I think, is a little easier because we don't have as much complexity here. So 1, 2, 1, 2 seems to be where we are. So the thinking now being, okay, if this is our 2 coming that's in here, if we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, we're looking for 3 here. Right? So this would be our target for the internal 3, 4, 5. Right? We're still looking for the 1, 2, 3 up here at the higher degree. So this being for simplification, ABC, 1, 2. Got to have an impulse. It's not optional, right? We got to have an impulse here if this is going to carry on, right? And Bitcoin's going to do it. I suspect ETH will go with it. All right, before we leave crypto, I've got one more here. This is the graph, which, not to, I try not to, I don't know what to pump my own book, or I don't know to say it that way, but this is one, much of my team is, let me get to it daily, is very bullish of the graph, right? It's been described to me as the Google of crypto. Has real potential. I think we could look at this as the impulsive one here, very long grinding double here, W X Y X Z, and now 1 2. All right, we're not even not finished the 1 yet, so we'd be looking for this 1 2 3 4. Right now, the obvious resistance here. We've got supply, we've got fair value gaps, we've got supply zones here, and I've got a 50 and a golden zone. So for us to do this, if we complete the 5 here and we stall at the golden zone, which wouldn't be surprising, right? We know an algo is going to be sitting there, right? But that doesn't, just because it's there doesn't mean that means we're doing this, right? It just means we know it's there, right? So algos break all the time. Right? So this would be 1 2, right? Back to test the. You can think of this as a channel, right? It's a, well, that's a shift, right? But either way, it's a channel. 1 2 3. What's not to like? Now we need the 5th here. We'll see. I like it. Okay, so I got Bitcoin, ETH, the graph. Now here, I think this is the most challenging count. Now, if you are an Elliottician or a student or a member here, before I show you this count, which took me about an hour, me and Wonka and PK Acevenda, the 2 of my lead guys, took us about an hour to come up with a count here, because I'm looking for a bullish count. It's just not there, right? No matter every way you turn, you run into a roadblock. You can't make a bull count here fly, right? It's particularly now with what we've just done here. Can't make it fly, right? So again, much credit here to PK Acevenda, who is probably one of the best Elliotticians I know, right? That's why I hired him. WXYXZ puts us into an A wave here. As much as you want to call this a 5, because look, it looks like a 5, right? It looks like you go 1 2 3 4 5 3 5. What's the big deal? Well, you just, if you're going to apply, even if you're loose with rules and guidelines, as I tend to be, can't make it work, right? You can't do a diag, right? Because 5th is shorter than 3rd. We certainly can't do an impulse because of all the overlaps. There is depth. Well, there's no way around. There's a zigzag right here that you've got to account for. It's clear as a bell, right? 5 3 5. You got to include it somewhere, right? So you have to work backwards. A B C, A B C, A B C. Excuse me. Gets you out of there. Okay, so A. Now, what we had been, or I traded this way, and I got stepped out today. All right, I had been considering this 1 2 3, and pardon me. So this would have been 1 2 3 4, and we were going for 5, right? Up we go. Right? I traded in the SPY, right, with options, bought calls, sold puts. Excuse me. Excuse me. Bought calls, sold puts. What did I lose today? 765 on that today, right? Just once we started to fall, it's no way around it, right? Time to get out. So I was very wrong there. This is just the nature of the beast. Hang on one sec. Sorry, don't want to have you sit through my throat clearing, right? The allergies are bad. It's raining badly here, so it's the wet weather makes them worse. Okay, all right, so A, B. Well, what implication is C? All right, now that's a long way down, right? So what? Well, let's see. Oh, this is the micros, which I trade a lot, right? Because I do a lot of day trading with these, right? But so you've got more manageable risk control here with the micros. A, B looks like coming down for the C. Now this is interesting. It's like what we've done here. So let's see if I still have them here. So you see where we are, right? So we're in the golden zone here, and we're pausing for a second. It can't surprise you, right? It can't. And this is your first time viewing a video of mine. Can't be a surprise. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to hold here, but certainly you can understand why we're pausing here. So what's equally interesting here, and I've got these here because remember I did this once already. Oh shit, they moved this around. Where are they now? Is this my, oh shit, object tree, right? They moved it around. So here we go. All right, okay, so let me object tree off here. Now this is interesting. So what I've done here is I've just taken this swing low here through the last bar here before we go up here. So that's why I drew it right here. So this is that section here. There's the POC. Then I went to the next bar where we start the launch up here, POC, right? So I'm assuming you can see those red lines here. That's the POC, right? So I'm gonna do it this way, right? So here's our dueling POCs at the golden zone, and we pause. Interesting, right? I'm not saying buy it there. I'm just saying, okay, right? If you're looking as a technician, well, okay, where's all the volume? Where's potential support? I mean, could this? Now, if we break here, right, it doesn't mean oh shit, we're going through the floor, because now we got to go back here. Oh, you can see here the RSI is what are we at? 25, right? So we're a bit. I don't like the word oversold, but certainly we're in a zone here where you might anticipate that we get a little bit of a snapback. But if that's a snapback, then what are we snapping back to and from? What did we just complete? If we completed there, which I don't know that we have, if I come bring back here. If we're going to bounce there, what do I got? 8 hours. The 1, 2 is a little shaky, but 3, 4, it looks like, I mean, the ingredients are there. So what have we done there? Well, if it's 1, 2, 1, this is not likely to be 3, even though it's an impulse. It's likely not far enough. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Same problem, right? It doesn't look like it's long enough. If we're done here, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can't rule it out. But if we just look here now, again, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest, right? We're not even to 100 yet. Is that golden zone, those dueling POCs, going to block that from realizing here and at least getting to beyond the length of the 1? It remains to be seen. Interesting though, right? That confluence, right? As everything stacks up there. Okay, reasonable spot for support here. We get to it's 41.24 in the ES futures. This is continuous contract here, so it wouldn't matter. Although I did, I had it in the SPY here. It doesn't matter, right? So it's the same idea. So the premise being that we put in a B here, right, as a 3, and now we're heading down, and we're looking for 5 to complete. 3, 4, 5, right? But candidate is to be down here in the low 3s. Things start to get ugly around the globe, and you know, our political season is going to be a nightmare here in the States for the U.S. residents. It's going to be just no way around it. It's going to be an absolute horror show. So we're all going to have to deal with that. That's usually that kind of uncertainty, not good for the markets. So all of this coming down this low here, you know, going to 24, 25, right? So, May, June, July, we'll be over here likely. We start to see all of the civil war. What are we going to have? I don't know. We're going to have something ugly, right? I can know that, right? As we go towards, Trump gets into his trials, we get closer to the election, it's going to get ugly, 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 ugly. Markets don't like that, so this is not out of the realm, right? I'm just talking out of my ass here right now, right? I'm not backing this up with TA. I'm just saying, okay, well, given the background, the Middle East is on fire. If that starts to escalate, I mean, there's a whole lot of scenarios here that can make this very, very ugly. What would that be good for? Most likely, Bitcoin. This is a tricky count, right? So this would be a great one to, test yourself, see what you can come up with here. Again, that's about an hour of us back and forth, right? Can't do that. Doesn't work here, right? I'd even consider possibly a diag here, but it doesn't work, right? You can't make the 2 work. This can't work as the 2. You can't go 1, 2, A, B, C, right? Because this doesn't work. It would have to be a zigzag. So you just roadblocked on the bull count, right? So you got to go to bear. Again, that's the some people love it, some people hate it of Elliott Wave, right? If not this, then that. And if not that, then this. Some people like that. Some people hate that. I tend to, it frustrates me. Counts change right here. I just had one change and felt the pain of it. Counts change, right? It's just a snapshot in time right here. Every video, every moment, every time you look at your chart, right? It's just a snapshot in time. Where do we go next? Well, it'll be interesting to find out. Okay, guys, that's all I got. Oh, shit, 20 minutes. That's better. Actually, it's much shorter here. I'm prone to be long-winded on these videos here, so I'm glad we're wrapping it up here a little bit more quickly. Of everything we looked at, the two that I like the best, or well, ETH, of course, as well, but I like the graph for alts. I guess we call it ETH and alt as well. Bitcoin, ETH, and the graph I like a lot. Oh, I won't go through my whole thing. I've got Maker, I've got a bunch of others. Alts here, but the big positions here are everything we just went over. Okay, guys, that's all I got. You guys have a great weekend. Oh, geez, I'm not much of a promote. I should promote my stuff here. Just a reminder, you can always join us for free over at our Discord. Belt system, white belt is free. That's a good way to get started if this kind of TA is appealing to you. Right? Lots of ways to skin a cat, right? God, my market structure dominates TA, right? But we shall see, right? That's why we include it in what we're doing here, so you'll get plenty of that if that's of interest to you here. As I've said many times, you can't trade market structure. Well, pardon me, you can't trade Elliott Wave and not be trading market structure. You can't do it. You can trade market structure and not be factoring in Elliott Wave rules and guidelines, but I think it's a mistake not to if you know it. Okay, with that, guys, I wish you a good weekend. I'll be back on Wednesday. Those live streams I enjoy those. I think we'll keep those up for a while. So I'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good weekend.